With the WINN FM News, I am Kevin Brown.
And I am Yulana Weeks.
Our top stories. Nevis Premier presents $273.17 million budget for 2025. A call for enhanced collaboration in disaster risk reduction.
Senator Dr. Joel Clark and PS Shesdor Tyson use census data to discuss key strategies for rural transformation. St. Kitts and Nevis on a forward trajectory with its medicinal cannabis industry.
Advancing a resilient future through comprehensive data management.
Staff at St. Kitts Water Services Department undergo training in desalination plant operations and maintenance.
Inter-Caribbean launches straight flight from Grenada to Guyana. St. Lucia's police force launches new crime database to enhance law enforcement. Internationally, Israeli farmer doubts ceasefire strength as he mourns his son. Now, the details. During a parliamentary session on December 3, 2024, the Premier of Nevis, the Honourable Mark Brantley, presented the proposed budget for the Nevis Island Administration NIA for the fiscal year 2025, amounting to $273.17 million.
Madam President, as we turn to our fiscal projections, the budget for the upcoming fiscal year is set at $273.17 million, a minor reduction of 3% when compared to the budget of $282.7 million, which was set for fiscal year 2024. We have allocated the amount of $203.8 million to recurrent spending, representing 75% of the total budgeted expenditure.
In light of anticipated positive economic activity in the coming year, the government projects a revenue collection of approximately $164.7 million, yielding a modest 6% increase from the $154.8 million revenue estimated for fiscal year 2024. Notably, the budget also includes at least $66 million expected from the federal government's Citizenship by Investment program, bringing total recurrent revenue projections to $230.7 million, which results in a surplus of $26.9 million against projected recurrent expenditure. The Premier outlined the planned capital expenditure for the year amounting to $69.4 million, a 6% decrease from the $74.2 million allocated in the previous year. This reduction arises from a targeted strategy to streamline capital expenditures and focus on projects with readily identifiable funding. As detailed in the financial summary, this capital budget will primarily be funded through low-cost loans and grant funding from regional and international partners. The revenue sources projected to support the NIA's 2025 expenditure program are as follows. Current revenue of $164.7 million, projected revenues from CBI passport processing fees at $66 million, concessionary loans of $11.7 million, and grant funding of $3 million. Premier Brantley emphasized that while these are projections, actual spending will depend on accessible funding, adhering to the administration's debt management strategy. Premier Brantley acknowledged the economic challenges during the fiscal year 2024, including high inflation, sustainability concerns surrounding the CBI program, and rising public debt.
Despite these potential downside risks to the island's economic growth, our approach was to direct our efforts towards building upon the gains we have achieved over the years. Our various initiatives to spur growth and employment were designed to ensure the continued improvement in the standard of living of our people. Madam President, as outlined earlier, the tourism sector has seen robust growth in 2024.
Despite these issues, he affirmed that the government's initiatives to foster growth and employment have yielded positive outcomes. The tourism sector in particular has rebounded, with a reported increase in revenue from the 2% tourism development levy. As of late October, $3.1 million was generated from this levy, nearing the previous year's total. The Premier expressed confidence in the island's economic growth, highlighting job creation through expanding small and medium enterprises and improved tax revenues. Brantley underscored the government's commitment to sustainable practices, debt management, and economic inclusivity, reiterating collaboration between the public sector, private enterprises, and community stakeholders to secure a prosperous future for Nevis and its residents. The 13th Caribbean Conference on Comprehensive Disaster Management will be held from December 2nd through 6th in St. Kitts, drawing attention to critical discussions regarding disaster preparedness and resilience in the Caribbean. Aimed at addressing the growing challenges posed by natural disasters, the conference is co-hosted by various representatives, including notable contributions from Malgorzata Wasilewska, ambassador of the European Union delegation to Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean. In her opening remarks, she reflected on the unprecedented challenges faced by the region during recent hurricane seasons, stating,
"We have just come out of one of the most challenging hurricane seasons. I found on our partner UN website a very interesting statistic that this year saw 18 named storms, 11 hurricanes, and 5 major hurricanes classified as Category 3 or higher, not to mention that Hurricane Beryl was historical and being Category 5 hurricane earliest ever recorded. And we all know only too well what tremendous damage it caused."
The ambassador noted that the alarming rise in severe hurricanes, including the record-setting Hurricane Beryl, calls for a robust and united response to fortify the Caribbean's resilience against climate hazards. Her insights highlighted the need for enhanced partnerships among regional and international stakeholders to support disaster recovery efforts. Wasilewska elaborated on the European Union's commitment to partner with Caribbean nations, stressing the importance of investment in critical infrastructure to build resilience.
Out of some of the commitments during the summit, we are supporting this conference, but we're also focusing on trying to attract investments to the region from Europe that will help to support key infrastructure upgrades across the region by transferring technology involving private sector and mobilizing anybody we can.
She stated, reflecting the EU's role in attracting investment to improve disaster preparedness. Moreover, she recognized the role of technology in disaster response, mentioning the EU's satellite mapping capabilities that provide real-time data to assist in disaster management. Another prominent speaker, Dr. Carla Barnett, Secretary General of CARICOM, discussed the necessity of comprehensive disaster management strategies.
Effective, comprehensive disaster management is critical to doing this well.
Emphasizing the transition from mere emergency response to proactive planning and preparation for future disasters. Barnett's address underscored the collaborative responsibility of regional members to enhance resilience through cooperation, innovation, and adaptive strategies. As the conference progresses, participants aim to forge new partnerships and share innovative approaches for effective disaster risk management. According to Nahuel Arines Garcia of the United Nations Office for Disaster Risk Reduction, better data, financing, and early warning systems are paramount.
We need more and better data and risk knowledge. We cannot manage what we cannot measure. Effective decision-making should be based in quality risk data and information. This requires strong national and regional disaster risk information management systems. Unless our countries get better at managing increasingly volatile, intense, and interconnected risks, we will constantly be recovering from the last disaster and unable to develop sustainable.
Advocating for actionable strategies encompassing all sectors to mitigate the increasing impacts of disasters. This year's CDM 13 is pivotal as it addresses immediate concerns and builds a long-term framework for a resilient future in the Caribbean.
Senator Dr. Joy L. Clark, Minister of Sustainable Development, Environment, Climate Action, and Constituency Empowerment, shared how the government of St. Kitts and Nevis can use the census data to shape new policies. One of the noticeable concerns derived from the census is the need for enhanced development in rural areas, specifically as it relates to housing.
The population census is a direct indicator for the Ministry of Social Development in particular for the services that are required in some communities. We're seeing here the comparisons. I'm sorry that I can't present like the actual data, but we saw some constituencies saw an increase in housing, in actual houses or households in their constituency, whereas in some rural areas, St. Paul, St. John in particular, there was a stagnation in terms of housing development. And you can immediately look at that and see that no new homes were built, or the efforts of the previous administration to provide housing in that district wasn't as intense as in other areas, for like Trinity, for example. So it now says to us as a government that there is a need to refocus our efforts on providing housing solutions for rural populations, which are generally the populations that you see an increase in poverty levels. So if you're going to eradicate poverty, which is what we want to do, you have to provide persons with the amenities so that they can live better lives, clean homes, sanitation, etc. It speaks to the income levels. It speaks to a number of things that allows us to give direction to the Ministry of Social Development, the Department of Physical Planning and Lands and Surveys. Where do we need to open up new lands for construction? Where is the population growing? And importantly, how we treat with our urban centers.
Dr. Clark admonished individuals to seek permanent settlements in the rural district. She explained that it is cheaper to acquire land there and that it is also important to the country's sustainability agenda. She also explained that the government has a mandate to improve investment in rural infrastructure.
We are encouraging people to move to the rural area, to embrace rural living. I live in St. Paul's. I drive to St. Paul's every single night. It's 35 minutes when I'm in a good mood, 20 minutes when I'm late. And there is absolutely nothing that can compare to country breeze and the peace of being home, hearing the dog's back, looking at your breadfruit tree. And we're saying that rural living is a key part of our sustainability initiative. Everybody cannot live in town. There are no more lands in constituencies 1, 2, and 3. So no matter what, and every single day we get a text message, I want a piece of land where Dewport, Dewars, Crescent Hill, there are no more lands. Let's move to the country. But in doing so, we recognize that as a government, we have to make the services available. So we're going to have the supermarkets and the gas stations and the nightlife and the beaches and everything that you need to feel comfortable. And of course, the road is fully paved. So it is an easy drive to the country. So we want the nation to embrace the $3 lands that are available all over the countryside. And it's great for families, great for your health.
Also making an appearance on In Focus on November 27, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Sustainable Development, Cherilita Shesdor-Tyson, discussed the steps being taken by the Department of Urban Resilience and Development to ensure that matters surrounding the urban-rural divide are addressed, ensuring rural developments become the center of attraction and that no village is left behind. Dor-Tyson said that in the community of Keyon, which is a key agricultural hub, the plan for the area is to enhance agrotourism by supporting farmers with the necessary infrastructural improvements and expanding local markets. While in Sandy Point, the focus will be placed on cultural tourism and local businesses development. By creating more appealing infrastructure to tourists and visitors alike. The Board of Directors for the St. Kitts and Nevis cannabis industry, under the chairmanship of Mrs. Jeanne Williams-Knight, has been working assiduously behind the scenes to ensure that the people of St. Kitts and Nevis benefit from a multi-billion-dollar global cannabis industry. As Mrs. Williams-Knight declared at a press conference on Friday, November 29, 2 committees were created within the Board of Directors to develop 2 critical areas of the St. Kitts and Nevis Cannabis Authority: the Human Resources and Administration Subcommittee and the Licensing Policy Implementation Subcommittee. According to Mrs. Williams-Knight, the Human Resources and Administration Subcommittee is responsible for administrative issues, including budgeting, financing, and staffing, to ensure the Cannabis Authority's operational success.
The first is the Human Resource and Administration Subcommittee that is responsible for directing the strategies to transform the authority into a statutory body, as outlined in the Cannabis Act. Therefore, it is necessary for the authority to develop its own policies relating to staff, employment, organizational structure, strategic planning, finance and budgeting, and similar matters.
Mrs. Williams-Knight informed the public that a fully staffed office space is expected to open in 2025 after vetting job applications.
So with a board now in place, our priority has shifted to launch a fully staffed and fully outfitted office space to give the public designated persons and a physical space where they can go to have their questions answered. This therefore leads to our second highlight of the year, which is the advertisement of vacancies for 4 positions to support the CEO of the authority. The application period was recently closed, and now we will begin going through them to shortlist candidates. We thank all those who applied, and we are encouraged by the overwhelming interest. We hope to begin filling these positions in early 2025.
Meanwhile, the Licensing Policy Implementation Subcommittee is tasked with ensuring the effective implementation of the licensing system, taking into consideration that holistic and progressive policies are in place to meet the needs of all key industry stakeholders.
The second subcommittee is responsible for licensing policy implementation, and their mandate includes planning the rollout of the licensing regime, taking into account crucial interest groups such as traditional farmers and the Rastafari community to ensure that they are empowered and positioned to reap benefits of the industry.
The Caribbean Cannabis Forum launched a local and regional policy and legislative review to ensure smooth and effective licensing implementation. Officials from St. Kitts and Nevis joined in the discussions, including the Chief Executive Officer of the St. Kitts and Nevis Cannabis Authority, Dr. Garfield Alexander, who is also the chairperson of the Caribbean Cannabis Forum.
I wish to highlight for 2024 that there is an ongoing local and regional policy and legislative review to ensure that licensing implementation can be smooth, effective, and truly empowering. This review is also informed by discussions and research that is taking place in the region through the Caribbean Cannabis Forum, which is a mechanism for cannabis authorities throughout the region to discuss cannabis matters and industry developments. I wish to highlight as our final highlight that in May this year, St. Kitts and Nevis, through the authority's acting CEO, Dr. Garfield Alexander, was selected as the chairperson of this regional body, and so we congratulate him, and we are sure, we know with his positioning, we are sure to remain on the cutting edge of the region's cannabis happenings.
On November 20, 2023, amendments to the Cannabis Act received safe passage through the House of Parliament, giving Minister of Agriculture, Mr. Samal Duggins, the power to build out the long-anticipated cannabis industry in St. Kitts and Nevis. Just over a month later, on December 29 and 30, 2023, a Cannabis Festival was organized to address outdated ideologies about cannabis, to better understand the plant, and to develop a more informed approach to the industry. The development of the medicinal cannabis industry has been promoted as an economic engine, vitally linked to the evolution of healthcare practices and the transformation of St. Kitts and Nevis into a sustainable island state.
The 13th Caribbean Conference on Comprehensive Disaster Management opening ceremony marked a significant occasion to enhance resilience across the Caribbean region. Organized by the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, SEDEMA, and taking place from December 2nd through 6th at the St. Kitts Marriott Resort, this year's conference has the theme Road to Resilience, Checkpoint 2024, Leveling Up for a Dynamic Future. Various leaders from international and regional organizations convened to discuss the importance of this initiative as the Caribbean faces increasing risks from climate change and other hazards. Elizabeth Riley, Executive Director of SEDEMA, emphasized the pressing need for innovative and coordinated solutions to tackle complex hazards threatening the Caribbean's future.
And complex hazards which threaten our lives, our livelihoods, but also our life chances. From the intensifying loss and damage due to climate change to rapid urbanization and globalization, expanding global conflicts and implications including for human mobility, supply chains, response and recovery, the challenges we face demand bold, coordinated, innovative, and gender-sensitive solutions.
In her address, Riley highlighted the newly established financial goal from COP29 in Baku, Azerbaijan, and noted the relevance of enhanced disaster risk reduction and climate change adaptation policies. Riley also stressed the importance of collaboration at the conference.
Through CDM 13, we are also commemorating the 20th anniversary of Hurricane Ivan through a special event, Ivan Plus 20, in partnership with CRIF SPC.
This retrospective view will guide the region toward a more resilient future by acknowledging past lessons. Moreover, the executive director pointed toward an empowering youth program intended to invest in youth leaders aged 15 to 25 from across SEDIMA's participating states. This initiative aims to equip youth with the critical knowledge and tools necessary for fostering resilience in their communities, indicating the growing recognition of the younger generation's vital role in disaster management. The conference represents an opportunity for comprehensive planning and strategy development, which is crucial given the frequency and intensity of natural disasters faced by the Caribbean.
Let us make the most of this opportunity to level up our strategies, foster collaboration, and build a more resilient future for our region.
Dr. Didicus Jules, Director General of the OECS, Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, echoed similar sentiments in his remarks to mark the opening of the conference, saying,
"As we stand at a pivotal point, as we reflect on 2 decades of progress since Hurricane Ivan, a disaster that reshaped our region and catalyzed a more determined approach to disaster risk management. Yet, as we look back, we are also compelled to look forward, to reimagine and redefine our strategies to meet the challenges of our rapidly changing world."
The Director General said the conference is not just an opportunity for reflection, but a rallying point for innovation, collaboration, and action to evaluate the impact of regional collective efforts, amplify capacity building initiatives, and forge the dynamic partnerships necessary to advance resilience agendas.
As we gather here, let us remember that our mission is not just to manage disasters, but to build a Caribbean that is resilient, adaptable, and prepared for the uncertainties of the future. This is our collective responsibility, and it is one that we must embrace with determination, creativity, and unwavering commitment.
Thus, the CDM 13 serves as a platform to enhance regional cooperation and drive accountable commitments towards resilience.
A group of operators from the St. Kitts Water Services Department embarked on a second week of training on Monday, December 2, to get a first-hand understanding and experience on how to operate and maintain the new desalination plant at Canada Estate, St. Kitts. Mr. Cromwell Williams, a water engineer and manager of the St. Kitts Water Services Department, confirmed the completion of the desal plant and the training phase during a WINN exclusive on December 2.
We have just completed the construction of the plant. That's a solar-powered desalination plant. So the plant has just been completed, the construction, and so we go right into testing and training of our staff. So that's what they've been doing, started last week and continuing this week. They're training all aspects of the maintenance and operation of the plant.
The desalination plant, capable of producing 70,000 gallons of water daily, is part of a larger $50 million water resilience initiative led by the government of St. Kitts and Nevis. The plant, a gift from the United Arab Emirates, is expected to be commissioned in the coming weeks. Meanwhile, the government is also in the process of building out a 2 million gallon capacity plant at the CA Paul Southwell industrial site. Mr. Williams told WINN FM that the project has already begun, but it is in its early stages.
We have just started the actual ground excavation for the buildings and so on. The equipment and so on has been on order for some weeks now. Of course, it takes time to manufacture and bring in the equipment. So that one is just at that phase where most of the equipment is on order, and but the actual construction, like earthworks, has just started.
The desalination plant at the industrial site has an estimated time frame for completion set for July 2025. Water scarcity is a growing critical issue plaguing the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Policymakers associate the water scarcity with low rainfalls due to climate change. The building of desalination plants is a venture pursued by the government to enhance water sources and restore a 24-hour supply of potable water.
In regional news, Inter-Caribbean launches straight flight from Grenada to Guyana. Grenada Broadcasting Network has that story.
Sunday marked a significant milestone in Caribbean travel as Inter-Caribbean Airways launched its inaugural direct flight between Grenada and Guyana. This new service, operating twice a week, is set to strengthen regional connections and provide a convenient air link between the two CARICOM member states, which have been trading with each other for years. The inaugural event was attended by Minister of Mobilization, Implementation and Transformation, Andy Williams, who encouraged Guyanese to make use of the available flights.
We are known for our beaches. We have the famous Guyana Beach, and if you visit here at any time, you have to try our beaches. It is an experience that you will remember. So folks, we invite each one of you here today to come visit Grenada.
Other attendees included the director of the Guyana Tourism Authority, Cameron Baksh, CEO of Inter-Caribbean Airways, Trevor Sadler, the CEO of the Grenada Tourism Authority, Petra Roach, along with a number of journalists who were given the opportunity to be passengers on the first flight. Pettifer Lewis, Executive Director of the Grenada Chamber of Industry and Commerce, described the new route as a landmark achievement for both nations.
Today's inaugural flight marks a significant milestone in regional connectivity and cooperation as we gather to celebrate this inaugural flight in the Caribbean between Grenada and Guyana. This occasion is more than just the launch of a new route. It is a bridge that strengthens the bonds between two proud nations within our Caribbean family. For the business community, this route opens doors to untapped markets and collaboration. For people, it offers a chance to connect, explore, and deepen relationships. And for our region, it is a step closer to the vision of seamless Caribbean integration that we have all dreamed of.
Lewis also shared insights on how the new flight will benefit Grenada's business community.
This route is an opportunity, and it opens up a lot of avenues for businesses. Now, one of the things that we in Grenada is very concerned about is balance of trade. So while we would want to import more of Guyana's products, we also want to be able to share our products with Guyana. And this would help. Also, I think with tourism, being able to explore our various countries, a lot more will take place and will naturally develop, and niche markets will be found, and we expect that we would be able to have a little bit more of balance of trade going on.
Flights will run every Thursday and Sunday with departures from Grenada's Maurice Bishop International Airport at 12:20 p.m., landing at Guyana's Cheddi Jagan International Airport at 1:50 p.m. Return flights will depart Guyana at 2:35 p.m., arriving in Grenada at 4:10 p.m. Reporting for GBN News, Beverly Telesford.
St. Lucia's police force launches new crime database to enhance law enforcement. DBS St. Lucia reports.
Acting Police Commissioner Vern Gard is making good on his commitment to modernize the police force with technology-driven solutions. Announced in September as part of Gard's crime prevention strategy, the new database will include detailed information on criminals, inmates at the Bordelais Correctional Facility BCF, and individuals with active warrants. The database will track a person's past and current criminal activities. It also features data on those arrested at stations across the island and additional information from various law enforcement agencies. The database also has the profiles of officers, including job descriptions, those currently on leave, and even birthdays.
No longer do we have to guess when we have a picture of an individual and we need to find the antecedents. All we have to do is just log on the system, and the system will tell us. So we will describe the data. We need to see how many persons, for example, with an oval face, with a broad nose, with a protruding forehead, that is male, that may have the propensity to commit rape. And at a clip of the fingertip, we will be able to decipher some of the suspects moving forward.
Tamrin Systems, a company involved in developing solutions for law enforcement agencies and other organizations, engaged officers in a training session on the operation of the database. Tamrin Systems aim to give the RSLPF tools needed to manage all aspects of police work.
We have developed the concept of having a core system, which is a centralized area for all crime-related information in St. Lucia. So from the device, from your desktop, you can access all criminal data on the island of St. Lucia, whether it happens at the police station or it's at the bodily facility or wherever else it may be. Once it's crime-related, it's going to be accessible from your desk. And so by concentrating all police activities, all law enforcement, all criminal activity in one area, we can now collaborate, we can share, we can all work against the same concepts, so we can realize a better law enforcement environment within the country.
Crime Prevention Minister Jeremiah Norbert says the new database system is an expansion of an already existing crime management system with new modules. Norbert says that criminals have been able to use technology available to them, such as group chats for information sharing, to undermine the operations of the police force, like police roadblocks. Therefore, he says that it is important for the police to have a digitized system to fight crime.
I know what the system will also do. It creates that type of information sharing where one police officer, no longer you have to go into a physical book to get a file, especially when you have writ warrants, commitment warrants, among other warrants, you have to literally go into a file and get a book. And I think right now, when all these things are on a computer, by the click of a finger, within seconds, you're able to access certain files, you're able to meet an individual and know whether or not there's a commitment warrant for them and be able to act on it. What it does now, it empowers the police. It puts them in a position where they, in terms of information, they're able to access the information quicker. And right now, if they're able to access the information quicker, they're better able now to do what is necessary.
The opening ceremony for the database management training took place on Monday, December 2nd, 2024. For the DBS News World, Miriam Montoot reporting.
We now bring you these international reports.
On his apple orchard in northern Israel, Moshe Weinstein found the body of his son Omer. A horror, he says, he will never forget. 5 weeks ago, Omer Weinstein and 4 Thai farm workers were killed by a Hezbollah rocket on the land Weinstein had cultivated for years.
I came out of the car, moved forward, and saw 5 workers laying on the ground and not moving, nothing. This was 2 minutes after the explosion. I looked for Omer. He was here by the container to show them what to pick. I couldn't do anything.
Since Hamas's attack on Israeli communities in October 2023, Hezbollah rockets, fired in solidarity with the Palestinian militant group, have killed 45 civilians in northern Israel and the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights. At least 3,700 people were killed in Israel's retaliatory assaults on Lebanon in the same period, according to Lebanon's health ministry, which does not differentiate between Hezbollah fighters and civilians. Weinstein's family business lies close to Metula, Israel's northernmost town, which was repeatedly targeted by Hezbollah rockets over the past 14 months.
During these 14 months, I have not thought for 1 second that one of us will be killed. We did not travel in one car during this time to avoid loss if there was an attack. I told Omer all the time that hopefully this will pass peacefully. I have not thought that there was a 1% chance that one of us will be hurt. But actually, Omer paid the price. The family and the children pay the price.
Despite the trauma, 75-year-old Weinstein is back working his land, with a ceasefire deal brokered last week between Israel and Hezbollah, aimed at restoring calm to both sides of the border. Although Weinstein has lived through 3 major Lebanon conflicts and has his doubts the guns will stay silent for long.
You were listening to the WINN FM 98.9 newscast. Our top stories were: Nevis Premier presents $273.17 million budget for 2025. A call for enhanced collaboration in disaster risk reduction.
Senator Dr. Joy L. Clark and PS Shesdor Tyson use census data to discuss key strategies for rural transformation. St. Kitts and Nevis on a forward trajectory with its medicinal cannabis industry.
Advancing a resilient future through comprehensive data management.
Staff at St. Kitts Water Services Department undergo training in desalination plant operations and maintenance.
Inter-Caribbean launches straight flight from Grenada to Guyana. St. Lucia's police force launches new crime database to enhance law enforcement. Internationally, Israeli farmer doubts ceasefire strength as he mourns his son.
Thank you for listening.